discussion and action on the minutes for April 20th, 2016. I have one correction. Janet Valencia made a motion to pass. Should be to approve.
Sorry.
That's okay.
On which part?
Huh?
Oh, okay, I see it. Thank you.
It's unusual for me to find a spot with everything.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I look at them 20 times and
Well, I can look at something. And as soon as I get sand, oh.
yeah. Thank you.
Any other corrections or additions to the April 9th minutes?
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes as corrected.
Henry.
Aye.
Charles. Terry.
Aye.
Motion passed. Next item is discussion and action of the April financial report.
Okay, starting off we have $706,100.51, $5,000 for the Chamber of Commerce Tourism Center Secretary, $23,350 for the Race Big Cruising Car Show, $25,000 for the City of Alva Wayfinding Signage Project, $2,100 for the Oklahoma Today advertising, $13,175 for the Nesatunga Arts Festival, $5,500 for the Alva Speedway, $7,500 for the Northwest Oklahoma Teen Camp, $4,200 for the Alva's Crazy Cool Boulevard Cruise, $4,500 for the 20th Annual Northwestern Football Golf Tournament and Auction, $500 for Future, $2,500 for Standing, which leaves us with $612,775.51.
On the quarterly tourism report, did you find out why Hotel 3 has nothing?
Okay.
Because that quarter ended March 31st, and money should have been received by April 30th.
Okay, I can do that.
It should be in,
Yeah.
should have been in at the beginning of the month.
Yes.
So if you would check into that, and send out,
Yeah, I'll email you.
pardon? Number 3. Number 5. Yeah, number 5 is the same way.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't even see that one. Yeah, if you will, check in number 3 and
Okay.
5 as to why they have not reported. Yeah, their numbers come in, looking at everybody else's numbers, it looks like our receipts for March is 16 are going to be about a little bit more, than a third of what they were March of 15. Or about somewhere between a third and a half, whatever that is. So it looks like our revenue will be down significantly. It's about half what it was December 31st to 15 quarter. So if you would get those added, Jody, and
Yes.
send out the correct, you just email them.
Okay, I'll email you guys. Sure.
Any other questions for Jody on the financial report? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the financial report.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the financial reports.
Henry.
Aye.
Charles.
Aye.
Terry.
Aye.
Motion passed. Next item is discussion action on Alva Road for 4th of July spectacular not to exceed $20,000.
Well, here I am again.
Too far back here.
Out the door. I brought help this time. We've talked about this for several years. We've come in and not everybody's here for the 4th of July, so the current president of the Alva Rotary Club, Paul Barton's here, and he has a short little presentation that will describe and show you some of the benefits and the effects that the tourism money goes into our 4th of July situation. I'm going to turn it over to Paul and let him go through this real fast and we'll talk about our request for this year.
Okay. Basically, the first activity we have is the 4K race. And Henry, I think you were right about there.
I had my apples answer on.
That's correct.
And I actually have a lot of other pictures. So what you're seeing from a picture standpoint is just a fraction of the pictures that we took. I think we took somewhere around 600 pictures throughout the entire. So you're seeing probably about 4% of the pictures that were actually taken. But we'll go through that. This is the end of the 4K race, people coming up and getting refreshments and such that we had available for people there. Then we went into the white elephant auction. And this is just, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. What we do is we announce that people can bring us their junk. And we try to auction it off. Charles Murrow's our auctioneer. He auctions it off. This is people that were there, stuff that we were selling. And whatever we don't sell off, we throw away and haul off. So that's just one.
I hope it's a good measure to help clean up around town, but it's also kind of a redistribution of junk around town.
Exactly. My
For profit, though.
my son bought some edgers that didn't work and has been working on them and getting the motors running and having all kinds of fun with them. Here are some water slide activities that we had for the kids. All together between the bounce houses and the water slides, we had 5 different contraptions that they were able to have fun with. You know, this is the train rides that we had and more bounce house stuff that we had going on there. But then we also served lunch, and we served hot dogs for lunch. We served about 350 people for lunch, and we'll get to it in a minute, but for dinner we served 550 people. So altogether we served 900 meals for the entire celebration. Now I know that there were people that came through, and it was interesting. There's a gentleman that just moved onto my street last year, right before the 4th. I did his home inspection for him, and he brought his entire family that was visiting for the 4th of July there, and I had a chance to talk to him, and I thought it was neat that I was able to chat with them because they were all new to the area. So it was a neat opportunity to do that from the serving the lunch. At the pool, we had lots and lots of people at the pool, lots and lots of pool games. These went on all afternoon. Here's some kind of bobber game they were playing, and these were races that they had, and they did it for all different age groups. And once again, these are just a fraction of the pictures that we have. I put another slide in with more pool games because we had kids that were lining up. This was in the small pool, the baby pool, that they were having races in the baby pool, and then we also had races that were in the big pool as well. But then we had the menagerie came, and we gave free of charge. We paid the menagerie to be there, and free of charge they gave rides until their animals wore out, which they gave somewhere, I think it was around 150 rides free of charge until they had to shut it down because the animals were so tired. But there was always a line there until they just had to shut it down. But they had their steer and their camel. In addition, here's some fireworks set up just to show what goes into that. This is all down by the pond, and there's Jesse, and setting up some of the bigger mortars that we have there. These are some of the ground effects through here, but this is not all of them. This is just a snapshot of some of the fireworks that we were setting up. Served dinner. At the dinner, we served hamburgers and we served bratwurst. And this is a picture of the line. The pavilion, this is in the south end of the park, so the pavilion's way up here. And this line, we did a really good job of making sure that we had the food there and that the line moved quickly. And but at the same time, the line never got shorter until the very, very end. It was always out here this long, with just different people in it moving through the line. So once again, we served 550 people, a free meal, no charge, no asking for donations or anything. Just come and get it. This is the prize drawing. These are people that were coming down into the park for the prize drawing. And throughout the day, as they participate in different activities, they all get tickets. And at the end of the day, there's drawings of the tickets. And we gave away, I'm not even sure how many bikes, 25 or 30 bikes. We gave away big screen TVs, 4 of those?
I believe I'm at the wrong end of the deal. I'm missing
five
all that.
5 gas barbecues. I mean, we gave away a lot of different and high dollar prizes. And it's great to see the kids when they win a bike. There's nothing. I mean, they're just full of joy when they win a bike and come down and are able to pick their bikes up. But then, of course, the fireworks show. And these are actual pictures of our fireworks show. These aren't stock pictures or anything like that. These came from our fireworks show, and I have a lot more of them that are just as good. It's actually kind of hard to find the ones that fit. But this is just an example of the fireworks show and what went on there. And Jesse can probably speak more to that and what was there. But
Those are good representation, and those are just some of the, some of those are 3 and 4 inch shells, and we have just literally hundreds of them packed into our show. So that is where the bulk of the expense is in our costs. And last year we spent $17,000 on fireworks. That's $2,000 up from the year before, and that's the first time where I've actually been able to see the impact of an additional buy, and just see, because that's what everybody knows. Where we used all of those shells were at designated points, and those are what everybody talked about. It was just that you could tell that it was added. It was kind of a combination between a ground effect and some things. We get more scripted. We learn more about firing fireworks, and over the years, I don't know how many, this is my 7th or 8th year of doing it, so I probably now fired about 15 shows or been associated with that. We average almost 2 a year now between the car show or whatever other events that we have. And we're getting to that point. We got that honed in a little bit better. Sometimes it's just the firemen that go do it or whatever in these small towns. And with the equipment that this committee has allowed us to purchase, with the fireworks that we've been able to purchase, we really truly have one of the bigger, better shows around. And now that I've been able to travel around and see some of the other places, the guys that shoot and do that, I know what their budget is. We've been very blessed, and I think it translates into a good event. Now that we've been able to make it a full day and everything, we keep having new people every year. As we've added new elements, it's hard to get people down into the park, but it was hard to get people out into the stadium and stuff. It's almost sometimes where too much free stuff. It's like I want to pay for something. It's amazing almost how much of a deterrent it is. But we've found ways to get those kids that once they get to the swimming pool, they get to the bouncy toys, we can just really get them packed down in there. It was a great event last year. I think things went very smooth and well. That's kind of where we're at. You have more pictures, or is that it?
I have literally hundreds of more pictures, but this is the last slide of the show.
Our request is basically the same as it was last year. We're operating on the same budget. Unfortunately, we're anticipating probably some shortfalls in that, just because with the absence of the oil and gas industry and some of the sponsors, the $10,000 that we were able to get last year, or just a little bit more than that,
Almost
sponsorship,
well,
caused us to. We've backed off our numbers a little bit, anticipating that some of those bigger donors aren't going to be there. Maybe one of the marquee guys won't sign up and do the same thing. Unfortunately, though, the rest of our costs are pretty much fixed. I mean, I've changed the budget a little bit this year on what I'm asking for. It's the same amount of money. I've redistributed it down. I'm actually hopeful that with some new connections or maybe some new possibilities, I might be able to get the fireworks at a lower amount this year. May be even more advantageous in years to come when I have a little bit more notice and purchasing power to go there. We might see some real decent savings. That's nothing against the company that we receive stuff from. It's just I feel like we have a duty when spending tourism dollars or Alva Rotary money or sponsorship, whatever, to try to make sure that we're getting the best bang for our buck. And there's a lead that developed just in the last 2 weeks that may result in either a savings or a change in the show, and it might result in a lot more in the future. It's not set yet, so where I'm at with where we for this July 4th, I'm kind of locked in. That's where our request is the same, but I'm actually quite hopeful that we might be able to get the best bang for our buck, I guess you could say, and try to stretch that dollar even a little bit farther in the future with just connections. And we actually purchase enough fireworks that we're an interesting client for new people to consider, possibly bid for and save money in the future. So I'm still hopeful that, and that's why I've only gone back down to the $15,000 for the fireworks show. We're asking the committee basically for approximately 2/3 of our total budget, as we have in the past. It is an expensive fireworks that are a luxury, and I won't shy away from that. I mean, that is something that it's an expensive celebration tactic to have. I mean, if there's insurances, there's equipment, there are things like that. If you want to be the facility or you want to be the community that's going to have that, because there is this extreme difference between a $17,000 or $15,000 show and some of the $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 shows that other towns are able to do. And we're just able to be a marquee out here in Northwest Oklahoma. I don't have what everybody else spends, But I know a lot more of what's being spent in South Central Kansas right now because I've met the guys that do the shows in Hutchinson and several towns in between Andover, places on the way back to here to be able to compare what that is. So it's something that I'm excited about for the future, meeting some different people, deal with that. But as far as this request goes, it would be backing down to the $15,000, hopefully to get the same amount of fireworks at a cheaper price. And then those bouncy toys are the same. It's kind of it's a $2,500 expense. We've actually already expended the money to ensure that they will be here. That's the big draw during the day. There are kids on those all day long. If we didn't shut them off of them, and sometimes they would still be on them. I mean, the guys have to actually pack that stuff up eventually and go home. The ones with water on that and the city pool draw. And I believe how that works, that's in our budget. We pay for everybody that comes to the pool. We pay their admittance that day. The city of Alva still gets that fee, and so that's how we also know how many people were there. And you can see in the photos there were people lined up all outside the pool. So we anticipate we'll serve more food, we'll serve more people, and hopefully have I don't think we've added anything potentially other than the fishing derby is our new event for this year to utilize the park pond. Right now it is bare fish or pretty well fished out. It's going to take some monumental efforts to be able to have fish in there for a fish derby and not have them fished out by the time July 4th comes, but we have a plan in place. If anybody's watching, don't go fish the last couple of weeks before 4th of July. We're going to try to deter you away so that we can have a fishing derby that day, again, prizes and all that. So, questions?
You talked about Heckerson fireworks.
Yeah.
Do you visit with the folks that say put on Heckerson fireworks in person and then try to coordinate with those folks, try to get some more purchasing power and buying bulk then, maybe get a little cheaper?
The way our system works, I'm a licensed outdoor display operator, but I still work under another company. I'm just an independent contractor. And so it doesn't really do us much good to try to buy in bulk because each one of those shows has to have its own operating crew. So what ends up happening is Hutchinson buys it, and if they work for Western, then Western coordinates all that stuff, maintains the liability insurance, we buy that stuff through them or whatever. So we would have to get really big and almost become like a wholesaler to do that, and I don't think that we're headed down that path to do that. I mean, getting fireworks from China is no easy process because right now there are barges that are stopped, and they're not on their way to the United States right now because of an accident that happened. This happens every couple of years, the way I understand. Some of these guys travel to China every year just to be able to make personal contacts to try to guarantee that they'll get their stuff, get here and get good product and go from there. So while talking with them helps me find out whether I might have a more competitive source, I mean, you just don't see a lot of, you don't know what somebody bought. I mean, you can see this product list, but you don't unless you watch their show. And I've gotten to the point where we do that. We basically, I'll get a show from someplace else and we'll watch it and see. And if I can find out what that show costs, try to figure it from there. You know, everybody's got the same 20 to 25 minutes worth of attention span that we try to use, and you try to fill it, but yet not overdo it, and try to make it with the right crowd and everything. And it's a process. And so I don't think I could do that, but I still think those connections and developing those connections that we have has led to things that might substantially save $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a year just by going to some different sources. And we are very, and I'm not by any means knocking the people that we bought fireworks for 20 years now. Let's just say, I mean, it's been a long time, but maybe it's time to look at. There may be we may go out and get a different amount of fireworks, and they may all be a poor quality. I don't want something that's going to blow up in the tube that might hurt me or any of the guys that are working there, or anybody in the stand, stuff like that. And we've not had one accident that I'm aware of that anybody has been substantially injured other than the guys that are working there. Might get burned or something like that, but not having things go into the crowd, not having things blow up the tubes, not having things fail. And when you're dealing with stuff from China, if you don't buy from somebody who has those kind of contacts, you don't know what you're getting. And so that's my big concern. We've probably paid a premium for a while and gotten good stuff. And I think it's time to, make sure that our dollar is getting what we should. I don't want cheap fireworks. It's going to be dangerous, but at the same time, I don't feel like I need to pay above market price for something just because it's always been good or always been the way that we've done it. So that's where we've started branching off. And really, it's funny, the licensing system is what's caused me to actually have more contact with other people. So Oklahoma going to this license system means that I meet other operators from all those towns. There were guys from Oklahoma in Inman, Kansas, where I was getting my training done. So I think that these leads are going to result in a cost savings. I mean, fireworks always tend to get a little bit more expensive over time, but I haven't really liked how much they've jumped up since we've gotten involved, other than the fact that we've grown the show at the same time. I just want to make sure that we haven't, been just, someone isn't taking advantage of us. And we're checking in. And I'm not saying that someone is right now. I want to make sure that your guys' money that you give to us, the city's money that comes to us, is getting used as best as possible. And everything.
From a Rotary standpoint, it's really important that we're good stewards with this money. And so I was really happy that Jesse was developing his contacts and going out and trying to make sure that where we are is where we should be.
And just like at the last meeting, just because we have a lot of money now doesn't mean that we should just not spend it wisely. That money should last as long. So I come asking for something that I think is still appropriate, but I'm mindful that we can probably make it better. There aren't just a whole, there's a different gas station on every corner. You can find out something about that every day. There isn't a different fireworks supplier like that. And then someone who can also supervise us to do that. And those contacts are out there. I know where they're at now. And we will make sure that whatever we get, whether we stay with the same crew, whether we go someplace else, will be a competitive process so that we're asking for only what we need.
Any other questions or testing?
Your business revenue, that's an estimate, I guess, the $10,000.
Yes, because right now, those advertisement or those sponsorships don't even go out till like right now. So Rotary is, and Paul won't like this, and I'm going to say this, but I'm usually here by myself, so I'll stand on it anyway. We have the ability somewhat to insulate ourselves against shortfalls. Our fund, over the years and all that. Now, Rotary cannot afford to come up $1,000 or $1,500 short every year because that's not money that is really earmarked for that. That money, we're doing positive things with it. We are lucky enough to be able to look at last year's budget, and if we're not making major increases, hopefully sustain anything. But nothing guarantees that those sponsor rockets are going to come in. It may come in at $5,000 instead of $10,000. And we might have to make adjustments up until the time of the show to be able to do that. Right now, our two major expenditures that we have to do in advance, reserving those bouncy toys because it's a holiday and everybody wants them on that day. So we spend that money, and then purchasing or at least ordering or having an allotment of fireworks secure someplace so that I can get them. Because the worst thing would be is that I didn't buy my fireworks and all of a sudden now I have nothing come 4th of July. So there's a little bit of flexibility in that budget to try to eat something if we went down, but we would probably power through it and then take our licks this year and adjust as best as we can. And I don't understand all of the finances of that. I just know that no one's ever told me that if we came up $1,500 short that we all got out our wallets there at Rotary to make it happen. I think we would adjust for it. And since I've been involved, we've had years where we profited a little bit more and it covered the shortfalls from last year. Last time I checked, we were basically right at the just barely maybe in the black or maybe just on the short side, because over the years as we've done that, Pat Headley had kept track of what was spent for the 4th of July and what we generated and went in, and so there's just a little bit of a cushion there to help us during natural fluctuations. So we don't just have $10,000 in committed sponsors for this year. No, we are optimistic that we will get there and be able to do that.
I know that last year we had $125 left over at the end of the show.
Those are the questions. That means we did it the right way, I think. But yeah, it'll probably have to change a little bit in the future. That's why I've really been looking more towards the cost of the fireworks, because that's just something that's kind of gone up, and I'd like to be able to drop back down and have a sustainable amount and get the best bang. But I can't sacrifice safety for lower price. We need to. First time something ever happened, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. and that may just be my brother, it might be me, it might be one of us in there that are dealing with it. You're dealing with a little, that's black powder and, explosives, and it's gonna burn somebody, it's gonna blow up in a tube, it's gonna stuff. We are very lucky that where we fire at, safety precautions are taken care of, nobody's within range, everything should be fine, but it's fireworks, and everybody sees things like that, and hears things that happen, so we're lucky, and we've been doing it the way we need to, and part of that is money and budget, not where we're at, but we're mindful to try to keep that as low as possible.
Any other questions? If there are no other questions, I would entertain a motion.
Request for $20,000.
We have a
Second.
motion to approve $20,000 AlvaReview for the 4th of July spectacular. Second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded.
Henry,
Aye.
Charles,
Aye.
Terry.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you again, guys.
Thank you all.
Next item on the agenda is discussion and action of Nescatonga Golf Tournament not to exceed $5,600. Well, Larry, you're the only one that hasn't spoken yet today, so you must be it.
Yep. Well, I'm here once again this year to request funds from the tourism department to assist us with and this year it's July 8th, 9th, and 10th. It's referred to as the Nescatonga Golf Tournament. We had asked and received funds last year. I think the actual expenditures that we expended last year was $4,300 and some odd dollars. This primary funding goes to pay for the meals on Saturday night. We have 40 teams maximum, 4 players per deal. Each of them have a guest. So very maximum would be 320 people. In previous years, we had contracted, or I guess contract would be the word, with Sterling's out of Kiowa, or Hartner actually maybe, to do the meals. They set a pro rata fee of $15, but when we ordered, we had to specify the number that they were going to feed, and they charged us for that regardless whether the number was that or not, so we would have them prepare meals for 320, which is the maximum that we felt we would have. Last year, I believe, we had 287 actually eat, and we had asked for $4,500, I believe. We actually spent $4,300 on that. This year, we are asking for $5,600. The only thing that I believe they put on there $4,000 for meals, so we're looking at about the same number of meals this year as last year. The really only other expenditure we will have is in the players' gift packs. In the prior years, each player received 1 golf ball, and I actually don't know the actual cost of each one of those, but if you buy a sleeve of Titleist balls, they're $4.50, so $1.50 per ball. This year we're going to provide, or hope to, a water bottle, a small water bottle, and I don't know if they call it a sweat towel. It's a wet towel. It's almost like a chamois, but you can wet it and wring it out, and it is still cool, but it's not dripping water. So we're going to try to provide 3 things in that gift package this year. This is, I don't know, I don't know that we lost records. I don't know that we've actually had it. This started back in the 60s sometime. At the time when the Nescatonga Golf Tournament started, it was for 1 member and 3 out-of-town guests. As our club grew, and since we were only a 9-hole course, we did not have the room to expand to a larger playing field. We have tried 44 teams, but that's a little crowded. So we've cut it to 20 in the morning and 20 in the afternoon. Anyway, now we will allow as many members on a team as we want. So there are potentially fewer out-of-town guests. I don't actually have the number to tell you explicitly what of out-of-town guests come. This year, and same as last year, I have 2 out-of-town guests. My son-in-law comes from Edmond, and then this year I'm having Steve Cooks come from Texas. I have rooms for them for Friday night and Saturday night at the Comfort Inn. The swimming pool at the golf course is closed due to not having adequate financial expenditures to fix it, so there probably won't be as many women lying around out there this year, so they'll probably be downtown spending money, looking at shops. But anyway, we need assistance to be able to put this on a first-class basis, and we're asking the tourism committee to provide up to $5,600 for the 2016 Nescatunga Golf Tournament.
The money that you raise, what will you use it for?
The food, oh, what?
The money that you raise from the Nescatunga Golf
Okay.
Tournament, what we use the
Okay, out of,
proceeds, the
okay,
profit.
it's $400 per team. We do charge an entry fee. Of that, we pay back $12,800 in prize money. So we pay back, some of these are accurate. Our banquet, which is the meal, is we're estimating approximately.
I'm not asking what you're using the money for. I'm gonna say the overall, what is the who benefits from the tournament? I mean, is it used to raise money for the golf course, to buy equipment out there, or what is the tournament used for?
There's no profit excess left over. It's all paid out in expenses. It's just, when the tournament started, it was just to get people from out of town to come to town years ago. So the golf tournament, as far as having a profit weekend, we do not. We are in the hole. But we're hoping the motels, the restaurants, the filling stations, and all of those entities, the boutiques, have picked up some business.
I guess I just got my business hat on tonight. I don't understand why, if you don't have the money to fix the swimming pool at the golf club, at the country club, how can you spend another $1,600 to put on a tournament to go further in the hole? I mean, to me, that makes no sense. Because what you're asking us isn't even going to cover your shortfall, and yet you have a pool out there that you can't use, and you're spending more money.
You're talking about 2 totally different things, Henry. The swimming pool is almost $70,000. $1,600 is a pebble in that same
Well,
storm.
$1,600 is $1,600.
Yes.
But my point is, would that $1,600 that you're going to spend for this be better used someplace else? I mean, I don't understand. I understand the concept of having a golf tournament that raises funds for an entity to, you know, as Jesse said last month, to help fund Northwestern football. I understand that concept. I don't understand the concept of having a golf tournament to lose money. I just don't understand that.
Well, it's no different than the Rotary or our Kiwanis Club. We have a little Olympics. We don't make any money on that little Olympics. We lose money on that. But we're hoping it helps the children in the community. This, I know that 2 nights, I don't know, Jesse will participate in that tournament. He's usually one of the winners of the deal. How many out-of-town players do you have coming?
It used to be 3, now it's 2.
Okay, so he has 2 out-of-town people. Now, I can't tell you they're going to stay in a motel, but they're going to eat out. They're going to spend money either in boutiques, filling stations, restaurants, cafeterias, somewhere. So it's helping the community, even though the country club itself is not making a large profit on it.
Was making no profit on it. I mean, if it broke even, I could understand it, but it's actually losing money based upon, you know, if it broke even, I could understand that. I could understand the benefit. But it's actually going to lose money based upon your projections.
Correct.
I
I don't guess I have
I'm
the
not sure why you
answer
would
for
do
it.
anything. I could see why you would do something to break even because it helped the community. I don't see why you would do something to lose money, even though it helps the community. Because you're hurting yourself worse than maybe the benefit the community gets.
So since you threw me under the bus, both of you, can I throw in 2 cents on this real fast? Think about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
The one thing that I would say that this is an annual event, it's something that is, I mean, there are a lot of things like that that go into it. And the problem is there are people who are solely members of this country club now because of this tournament. Because it's something that you don't have the right to play in necessarily unless you have some seniority, et cetera. If my father didn't play in this golf tournament, he might not be a member of the country club, which would be a $1,200 loss for the country club. They would lose that just solely because he keeps his membership to have his 3 guys come down from Pratt, Kansas to play in this event. Now, that's hard to translate into how much more impact does it have, but I have a membership and play golf through, I would get to play golf recreationally this year at the country club. I have that membership almost to play in a tournament, which you will say, Jesse, you just spent $1,200 to be a member or $1,000 to be there, to bring 3 of your friends in to play in a golf tournament just for a chance to put my picture up on the wall and have my friends in for that weekend and all that. And that's kind of what some of these people are honestly doing at this stage. I mean, the country club has always had a problem in a town like this with the number of membership and all that. I think if they didn't have this tournament, there'd be less members at the country club. That's less people to come visit in, and it won't be this event, or sometimes a bad event helps the overall cause. And if you think that this is a money loser, and that's what the stuff says, it is probably one of those events that if it didn't happen, yeah, they wouldn't lose $1,400, but if they lose my membership, my dad's membership, someone else, they're going to be $1,400 in the hole more anyway when the 3 of us don't have memberships. Now, that may not be how it works, but I mean, that is one of the elements in my mind that makes that tournament. I've been the president of that board. I've watched this stuff. It is one of those, it's a prize money deal. People come in, they competitively compete and have a good time that weekend, and the expenses of it are usually, at best a break-even event. Adding a little bit more to make it, that money, even though it may be in excess of a budget, might cause a shortfall, probably helps the country club up more. In fact, in my opinion, most likely helps the country club overall because that one did.
I'm not saying it's a bad deal. I'm just trying to wrap my head around, because I think last year, and I don't have the numbers, but I don't think it showed a loss last year.
No, because we've increased, or hoping to, the players' gift packs. It was $4,500 last year, and we were just $100 and some odd dollars short of that. We actually spent that we received from the tourism $4,300. But no, so this year we're adding $1,600.
You're increasing the gift packs by $1,600, but you're asking $1,200 more. So that's $400, but you're still but now you're instead of $100 ahead, you're $1,600 behind.
Well,
So those numbers don't quite.
and I don't know, I'm not the one that prepared this, but last year we actually spent $4,300 and something on the meals. That equates to about 287 meals. Previously, we spent considerably more with Sterling's because we had to pay a set fee. Last year, we switched over and started having Randy and Mary Hamilton here in town cater it. They allowed us to pay specific number. I mean, if 287 plates were used, that's what we paid. We didn't have to pay any extra for the unknown. This year, on there, the budget, we're asking for $4,000 of that for the meals. last year we actually spent $4,300. So they just cut that back. That's where your $400 is,
Did you
basically.
spend 500 last year on gift packs?
Pardon?
Did you spend 500 last year on gift packs?
Well, I don't know what the country club's cost actually is on those Titleist balls. We don't get a large discount on them, but if you buy a dozen golf balls, they're about $45 for a dozen. So a dozen is one group, so 45 times 40, we spent 45.
$1,800?
No, because last year we only gave one golf ball per person. So a dozen went to 3 groups. So it was about $12 per 3. So what's that? Probably less than $2 per person. This year we're doing $4 per person. We're gonna have 160 people. Well, that'd be $10. I'm sorry. We're asking for $1,600 for that. And we're giving wanting to give a chamois, it's a dry towel from Adidas, and then a golf ball and a water bottle. So really, that's the difference in our expenses from this year to last year. The only thing about what our budget is there is the number of participants that will actually eat. You know, there will be some that have a family. My son and daughter come, they have 3 children, so there's actually 5 of them. But there will be some people that maybe are single that come that do not bring anybody to eat. So we're basing our meal cost on 4,000. All I can tell you is last year that was 4,300. So we've cut it $300, and I guess we will just incur that.
So how long has it been since the entry fee for teams been this way?
It's been quite a few years. Well, and
400, that's my team.
It's 400. Now, several years ago, and also that is one thing, we only paid 70% back. This 12,800 is based on 80% payback, because it's done a little bit different. 100 of that 400 goes to day money, 50 each day. So we actually pay 100% of that back, but it averages out 80% of the entry fee. But no, we haven't changed that in maybe 10 years, 8 years, I don't know exactly. But it's been that for quite several years.
Well, from a personal perspective, I understand the good and all that, but I like to, if you come back next year, at least figure out how to get this thing to break even. I mean, because you're increasing the prize money, the percentage payout, but
And
you
I
haven't increased
understand.
the fee for 10 years.
I understand what you're saying, but there's some things that we do in the community that doesn't reap a monetary benefit. Our little Kiwanis track meet we just held last week, we went in a hole big time on that.
But we're not, that's a
doing
community-
something for the
That's a
community.
community service. We don't ask them to pay for any of that. You're asking your folks to pay to have the privilege to come golf. I really look at those as, in my perspective, that's apples and oranges. One's a community service for the little kids.
Yeah.
I view this as a way to generate revenue and to generate, because I think one year you came to help because you needed help with the irrigation system or something out there several years ago. I look at it as a way, the golf course is a good asset for the city or for the area. I don't like to see it go in the hole further and further every year. Even though it's providing a benefit for the city.
Yes, I see what you're saying.
You're going in the hole every year to provide that benefit, and at some point in time,
you can't go in the hole. Now, Little Olympics, we raise money through concession stands to pay for that. Whereas you're not really raising any money to cover your cost.
I agree with that.
Any other questions for Larry?
I move that we approve the $5,600 for the golf tournament, Mascot golf tournament.
Do we have a second? And moved and seconded to approve $5,600 from Mascot County Golf Tournament.